Welcome to my channel. One of my Australian viewers has asked me to react to The Herd's I Was Only 19. I have a feeling that this one might be tough on me because it's something about Vietnam, and that always gets me emotional. But I've been asked to do it, and I will. But before I do that, I have to thank you for coming to my channel. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for interacting in the comments. Thank you for subscribing. The channel has blown up. It's unreal to me. I get up every morning and I look at the subscriber counts and I go, what happened? I don't understand it. I don't do any advertising. I don't have any social media accounts. No Twitter, no Instagram, no TikTok, none of that stuff. And yet, every day, the count grows and grows and grows. It's all because of you. It's what you're doing. It's not anything I'm doing. So thank you. Thank you so much. So this is I Was Only 19 by The Herd. Oh yeah. Okay, before we get into this, I want to make sure that you're all on the same page. So if you're young and you haven't been taught about the Vietnam War, or you don't know much about it, or what you've been told is complete baloney. The Australians were heavily involved as our allies in the Vietnam War, and they lost a lot of lives. And they had a lot of very brave soldiers who fought in Vietnam. They deserve the same level of respect that the Vietnam vets that fought in Vietnam do. And again, that's not me. I'm not a combat vet. I want to make sure you know that. I served on the East Coast. I was never in danger. But I have many friends who were combat vets in Vietnam, and I lost a cousin in Vietnam. And I know a little bit about what those people went through, and it was horrendous what they had to endure. So this appears to me to be Australian soldiers in the bush in Vietnam. I suspect that's what the song is about, but I wanted you to know what's going on here.
Mum, Dad and Denny were some amongst many who came to watch the passing out parade at Puckapunyal. Seemed every man and his mongrel came to watch cadets stumble on the long march to the Viet jungle. Oh Christ, he mumbled as I drew that card, and my mates came and slapped me on the back with due regard. We were the 6th Battalion, yep, next to tour. We did Kangaroo and Shoalwater before we left, rest assured. Seemed half of Townsville turned out to see us leave. They lined the footpaths as we marched to the quay, and the
Yeah. That's the way it was. When the men left for Vietnam, the crowds came out and cheered them on. And when they came back, they turned their backs on them and spit on them. Literally spit on them. Not all of them, but some of them. And they treated them like persona non grata. And if you can imagine when I don't know what the Australian rotation schedule was, and so some of you Aussies can share that if you know. But Americans served in Vietnam for 12 months or 18 months, and some of them for 9 months. If you can imagine getting on an airplane, flying to a completely foreign country, landing, and then immediately being put in a place where you're being shot at and there's bombs going off and your life is in danger all the time, and going through that kind of hell for 9 months or 12 months or 18 months, and then all of a sudden your tour is over, you get on a plane and you return to the country of your birth, and you get off the plane and it's like you never left. It's like you expect it to be the same as what it was when you left, and when you get back, it's not. It's not at all. It was such a jarring experience that some never got over it. They just never got over it. They never got over the treatment that they received when they got home. And it haunted them the rest of their lives. Some of them didn't live very long because they committed suicide because of it. I wrote a lengthy article years ago about my service and how that period of time affected me. And I didn't even fight in Vietnam. I was on the East Coast. I was on the Atlantic Ocean for 6 years. Never set foot in Vietnam. And yet it affected me so powerfully, the way that we were being treated whenever people saw us in uniform, that for 20, 25, 30 years of my life, I would not talk about having served. I would not tell anyone about my service. And I wouldn't celebrate Veterans Day. I wouldn't go to anything military related at all. I was actually ashamed that I had served during that period of time. That's how powerful the impact of people turning their backs on you is. For me, a non-combat vet, never set foot in Vietnam, never within 10,000 miles of Vietnam, and yet I was ashamed of my service because of the treatment that we received. I felt like I had done something wrong. It took a sergeant who fought in Afghanistan to straighten me out. To convince me that I should be proud that I served. That's how powerful it was. I hope to God, I pray that the American people will never, ever again do that to combat vets. They don't deserve it. They really don't. Come on. What is going on?
Papers wrote it up like you wouldn't believe, but we were only looking to the future for fast reprieve. And there's all of us, looking young, strong and clean, rocking slouch hats, slung SLRs and greens. God help me, I was only 19.
Yeah, most of them are young kids thrown into hell.
From Vung Tau and black helicopters, Chinook pilots seemed relieved and knew he dat when he dropped us. Seems like months, running on and off landing pads. Letters to dad, it's like, man, he's sad, but he can't see the tents that we call home. Cans of VB, pin-ups of chicks off TV. The heat, the mosquitoes and the noise surprising, like the first time you see an Agent Orange horizon. So please can you tell me, doctor, why I can't get to sleep? Scars left in me, at night times it's a jungle, dark and a barking M16. We keep saying rest in peace. What's this rash that comes and goes? Don't suppose you can tell me what that means? God help me, I was only 19. Sent off on a 4-week-long operation where every single step could be a last one. On 2 legs, it was sort of living hell, falling with the shells, war within yourself. But you couldn't let your mates down till they had you dusted off. So you closed your eyes and thought of something else. Someone yelled, contact! Another bloke swore. We hooked in for hours, then a God Almighty roared. And Frankie kicked to mine the day that mankind kicked the moon. God help me, It was going home in June.
And I can still see Frank with a can in his hand, 36-hour leave in the bar of the Grand. And I can still hear Frank, a screaming mess of bleeding flesh. Couldn't retrieve his legs to see the Anzac legend. Neglected to mention mud, the fear, the blood, the tears, the tension. Dad's recollection beyond comprehension didn't seem quite real until we were sent in. Chaos and confusion, the fire and steel. Harsh travel in my back I didn't even feel. God help me.
Dad and Denny saw the passing out parade at Puckapunyal. It was a long march from cadets. And the 6th Battalion was the next to tour. It was me who drew the card. We hit Canungra, Shoalwater before we left. Townsville lined the footpaths as we marched down to the quay. This clipping from the paper shows us young and strong and clean. There's me in me slouch hat, me SLR and greens. God help me, I was only 19. So please can you tell me, doctor, why I can't get to sleep, I can't hardly eat, and the sound of the Channel 7 chopper still chills me to my feet, still fills my grief. What's this rash that comes and goes like the dreams? Can you tell me what that means? God help me, I was only 19.
I'm gonna go pick a
That was such a terrible time. And the worst part of it was coming home. Imagine that. Dodging bullets and bombs and booby traps and all that stuff for 12 months, and then when they come home it was even worse, because it was a stab in the heart. It was a psychic wound, and it destroyed some men. And it embarrasses me to say that people actually treated vets that way. It's incomprehensible to me. You know, when you're 19 and you volunteer to go to war, you have all these ideas about how you're going to be brave and heroic and all this other stuff. But you never think that when you come home, you're going to get slapped in the face. You never think that you're going to be insulted. You're not the one who decided that there would be a war. You're just the one who ended up having to fight in it. You're the one who ended up having to dodge the bullets and manage to survive to come home, to watch your buddies get blown up and to die in your arms. And to do all that and then come home and be treated like dogs? America should be ashamed. Australia should be ashamed because they did the same thing to their vets there. It's inexcusable. And as I said before, I pray to God it never happens again. The reason why you see Afghanistan and Iraq vets being greeted at the airport is because Vietnam vets said, never again. Never, ever, ever again. And they made sure that those vets were treated with honor and with respect. They did for them what was never done for them. They did for the young vets, for the Afghanistan and the Iraq War vets and the Gulf War vets. They did for them what was never done for the Vietnam vets. And now they're doing it. But, you know, and I understand it, and trust me, every vet appreciates people saying, thank you for your service. And every Vietnam vet, whether they served in country or not, is thankful that the country now is treating their vets with respect and honor. But there is nothing you can do to wipe away that stain. There's nothing you can do to heal that scar. It's there for every one of them. And it's our own people that did that to us. It's outrageous. I wish there were a way to go back to those times and change it, but there isn't. And we all have to live with that shame. I pray for every Vietnam vet that God will find a way to heal their heart and to finally actually bring them home. And I pray for you that you will live an abundant life and that you'll be healthy and that you'll live a long time and that God will keep you safe. And I pray He'll do the same for every person that you love. And I also pray that you will be anxious for nothing, but in all things, through prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, you'll make your requests known to God. And the peace that passes all understanding will keep your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. This is the Vietnam Era Vet out.